Hello, this is Dr. Imran, consultant neurosurgeon, Srikara Hospitals. In this video, I'll be talking about epilepsy or seizures. November 17th is celebrated as National Epilepsy Day. So here we conduct various programs to raise awareness about epilepsy or seizures. Normally, our brain functions through means of electrical currents. These electrical currents are coordinated in such a manner that there's smooth flow of movements, there's perception of senses, all these things occur in a very coordinated manner. Whenever there's a burst of uncoordinated or abnormal and excessive electrical discharges in the brain, a person may experience some movements, abnormal movements, or a sudden loss of consciousness or sudden perception of abnormal sensation. So these things we call it as seizure. So a seizure is a brief episode of abnormal and excessive electrical discharges from the brain, which can be manifested in various ways. Usually it is manifested as abnormal jerky movements of the patient, jerky movements of a person. This is called as fits. Epilepsy is a different thing. If a patient has two or more episodes of unprovoked seizures, then we say that the patient had epilepsy. Here, two things are important. A person may have a single episode of seizure. We don't call it as epilepsy. If the patient has two or more episodes of seizures which are unprovoked, then we call it as seizures. So why it is provoked and unprovoked? For example, if a patient has low sugar levels, the patient can have seizure. That is a provoked seizure. So in these cases, if the underlying condition like the sugar levels are treated, then the patient may be completely cured of seizures. So this patient does not have epilepsy. But if the patient has unprovoked seizures, which are at least two or more, then we call it as epilepsy. So now, what should a person or a caregiver or a bystander should do when a person standing beside him has a seizure? First thing is do not panic. Second thing is the common tendency in our population is to keep some iron-like substance, iron substances or metallic objects like keys in the hands of the patients or near the hands of the patient. So this is a dangerous practice and should be avoided. Usually seizures are brief. They last from a few seconds to under 2 minutes. So most of the time seizures are controlled by themselves. So even if you put a key or not, it is going to stop by itself. But by putting a key or by putting an iron rod or something near to the patient, you're trying to harm the patient. So you're unknowingly and unnecessarily will be damaging or causing physical damage to the patient. So avoid putting some iron objects. And another tendency is to stop the movements of the patient. So this should also not be done. If the patient has jerky movements and the patient is in a safe place, there is no need to remove him from that place. And there is no need to stop the jerky movements. They are going to stop by themselves. And third thing is, once the patient has jerky movements and stops, the patient may remain unconscious for some time, usually around 5 minutes. During this episode, that is post-ictal or post-seizure period, we have to make sure that the patient is in a safe place. Patient is not near a sharp object or corners where he can hit himself, and patient is turned to one side so that all the saliva which has been pooled in his throat will come out of his mouth, so that aspiration into the lungs is avoided. So first step, when a patient has seizures, do not panic. When a patient has seizures, do not try to put any iron object or metallic object in the hands of the patient. Third step is do not try to control the movements. They are going to stop by themselves. And the fourth one is once the seizure stop or once the jerky movements stop, try to turn the patient to one side, to a lateral side, so that the risk of aspiration of saliva into the lungs is prevented. So these are the key steps that should be done when a bystander or when a person has seizure. these steps should be done by the caregivers or the person who is standing beside the patient. And another important thing that patients usually miss is once they have a good control of seizures for a month or two, they usually stop medications. So these patients come back with seizures again. So these things should also not be done. When a patient has seizures, unless your doctor says you, unless your doctor asks you not to stop the medication, you have to keep continuing the medication and be in a regular follow-up. So these are the important things that I would like to highlight in case of patients who have seizures, or for those persons who are caregivers for a uh, epilepsy patient or a seizure patient. Thank you.